100,000 of them. And according to the Aaron Diamond Institute in New York now, they estimate by watching I believe it's the world's DNA testing, that approximately 1% of the population has this new DNA. Well, on October 12th of this year, the United Nations says that we're going to have 6 billion people in the world. Somebody, the 6 billionth person will be born on that day. And that means that on that day, there would be 60 million kids in the world with this new DNA. There's so many of these new kids that they believe really, really, really that a new human race is being born at this moment. And this is extraordinary. Do you want to hear something even more extraordinary? I mean, about this. Do you remember in the Bible code? You can go to Jeffrey Satinover's book on page 164. There is a thing there. That what they did is they put the word AIDS into the Bible code to see what would happen. And it rearranges the matrix, and there's the word AIDS, and all around it is all the words you would expect: HIV, in the blood, the immune system, death, on and on and on. There's like 30 words came up, exactly what you would expect around AIDS. Except down in the bottom was this little statement that the Hebrew University didn't know what it meant because they didn't know the information I'm just giving you about the children. But down in the bottom was the word associated with AIDS: the end of all disease. And I think that is exactly what we're witnessing here right now, is a new race that is immune, period, in the end, to disease. And this is the beginning of what, the Bible said this, that there would come a time when there would be no more disease, and there would be all these things that it talked about. And but this is not going to happen someday. It is here now. It's real. And it's actually happening. And so you have two different kinds of children emerging. You have these super brilliant technological children that are emerging, and you also have these other children that can't get sick. There's a third kind. And the third one is extremely interesting to me. And there's been a book finally written about them too, also coming out just recently. This book is called China's Super Psychics. It's by a man named Paul Dong and D-O-N-G and Thomas Raffill, R-A-F-F-I-L-L. I really recommend you read this one, because for those of you that were in the Flower of Life, you know that I talked about 1985 in the Omni magazine article. You see, in 1976, there was this one little Chinese child that emerged. And this child was able to see with his ears. He could literally see with his ears. And this was kind of unusual. and they did tons of testing on him, and initially from 1976 until somewhere in the mid-'80s, around in there, the scientific aspect of the Chinese government just thought this stuff was crazy, that they wouldn't believe it. There were debates going on all around. There was this huge side that believed in the new psychic kids and the other side that did not, and they were fighting each other. Now the scientific side that was fighting each other, that said it wasn't true, have become silent, and they're letting go, and now they've swung over the other way, and the Chinese government has now put up huge schools to train these kids into what's emerging over there. Well, let's look at what they can do. First of all, this kid could read. He could take a book and put it on his ear. He's blindfolded, couldn't see a thing. He could put a book on his ear and read it perfectly. In the Omni magazine, if you remember, they allowed them to test some of these kids, and they took books at random, and they would go through a pile of books and go, find a book, rip out a page, crumple it up, and stick it under the kid's armpit, and they can read it perfectly. 100% perfect. 100%. And they checked all these kids, and they did all kinds of tests on them, and finally came up to the conclusion that it was real, but they didn't know what it meant or anything else. They didn't know what was really going on here. And that was in January 1985 in Romney. But Nature magazine, one of the most prestigious scientific magazines in the world, has written several articles on this and has done deep research on it, and their conclusion is that this is real too. They just don't know what it really means. Well, the kids now can read not only with their ears, but they can read with their nose, their mouth and tongue, their chin, their armpits, their hands, and their feet. And you can, and today we are fortunate enough to have one of these children here, and you'll be able to see for yourself that this is true. So you're very lucky. It's no longer just a guess or something else like that. You'll be able to see for your own self. It'll be when we come back after lunch, but you'll be able to spend time with her and see her. Though she's not from China, she is from Mexico. This phenomenon is occurring all over the world, though it originated, from the best we can tell, and I'm not positive it is, I don't know if anybody knows, it appears to be the biggest burst of these children were coming out of China. And, but that was only the beginning. The kids now have taken it to a level that is so absolutely ridiculous. That was the first thing where it all came out, was being able to see without the eyes. But now they're able to do almost anything imaginable. And they're doing things that like Superman could do, literally, to the extent that they can walk through walls, and it's being scientifically demonstrated. Literally walk through walls.
Are we going to see demonstration of that?
I don't know. Probably not on that level. There's only 3 people in China that can walk through walls. 3 of them. But there's lots of them, probably 4,000 or 5,000 of them, that can take, and one of the things they do is they take sealed bottles of vitamins and things like this and different kinds of drugs, totally sealed up with the original thing, and they sit there, and right before video cameras and right before a scientific panel, they just sit there and focus, and the pills go right through the glass and onto the table. They bring them right out of the bottle onto the table. And they're also doing things that are kind of beautiful, where they'll hold a bud, a flower that's in a bud, and they give prana to it, and in a matter of minutes, the bud completely opens up and you can watch it fold up. They're even doing it now where they'll take a audience up to 1,000 people, and they're all holding the bud, and when the little girl goes, okay, now, all the buds in the room start opening up. You can watch it do it. It's been videoed, it's been checked by science, everything. This is really a real thing. They're able to, and it all depends on where the kids put their focus. Because we just live in a world of light. This is a dream we're in. And these kids are beginning to understand this. And one of them is able to calculate any mathematical equation known to man faster than computers can do it, and usually a lot faster. He can take complex equations that many times the computers go doing the whole thing, and he can do them in less than 2 seconds. He made one equation where it was written in there, it was a super complex equation that had 21 digits of accuracy that he had to come up with, and just does it in his head in 20 seconds it took to do this. There are kids that, there's one guy who is able to just point his finger and shoot a ball of light across the room and start fires across the room. There's several that can do that. One of the problems when they're learning how to do this is that they emit so much prana that they burn holes through their clothes as it's taken off, so they'll get holes all through their clothes, and this is when they're beginning and they're learning. Once they know how, they learn how to control that, and they don't have to do it. It's just prana. What the Chinese government is realizing is that it's tied to another area, an ancient other area of understanding, which is called Qigong. Qigong is the understanding of prana, life force energy, and or Qi. And Qigong is taking a huge new awakening in China right now, because they're finding that they can heal anything, they can heal anybody of anything, And these kids are amazing healers. A lot of them, they can just wave their hand and cancer and things are just gone.